Friends, how you doing? Rusty back with you here, CFLW the show. We're live. It is 1 o'clock on this Friday, June the 6th. I hope you're doing well. Coming up in this video, we're going to be talking about the opportunity to get some storms that are developing right now. We'll highlight that. Obviously, it's a bit hazy out there. That Saharan dust layer, that Saharan air layer, as we call it, has worked its way across the area. So we'll talk about what that's going to do and how that's going to impact your forecast. Great to tune in. Thank you for joining me for this live stream. As always, CFLW, the show is sponsored by the leading law firm of Central Florida. You see their logo at the bottom of your screen. They're your hometown homeowners insurance attorneys. They cover the entire state of Florida, and it is storm season. So if a storm rolls through your area, you get damage of any kind, they can walk you through every step of the insurance claim process, offering free consultation and policy reviews. Go to leanonmelaw.com if you would like more information. As always, love to hear from you guys. Kevin, how you doing? Good afternoon. Kevin in the house from Lakeland at the hour, where a few showers and storms are trying to develop back down there towards the Polk County area. So we'll get started with what's happening right now. I've got the radar looped up for you here. We are going to get the West Coast sea breeze to kick in. It's going to be kicking in fairly early for today and already driving a couple of showers across portions of I-75 and even a little bit farther to the east now as we've hit the 1 o'clock hour. So a little bit of rain has drifted through places like Ocala and Silver Springs and Bellevue, right over 301 and 441. Our friends in the Villages. It was a brief shower there. You notice there's no lightning at this point in time. This is just some rain that's moving through our western areas. I'm going to slow this up just a little bit here, just to loop over the last hour so you guys can kind of get a little bit better idea of this. Should hopefully pop on in just a second. Do that. There we go. No. Every so often with this thing, if I tell it that I want it to do a different timeline, it switches the timeline, but then it also, and it's always on these presets I've got, but then it also wipes away the data. I'm gonna have to look into that. I'm gonna go back out here to the broad perspective, zoom back in for you guys, see if it will now cooperate. You see how the data goes away right there when I do that? It's on these presets. Not happy about that. I think the easiest way to do this is, let's see here. I think what happens is when I switch this to an hour, and I'm literally doing this on the fly, so bear with me here. For some reason, the radar goes away. And even the satellite data does too, huh? Interesting. It's kind of like a little flaw that when you make these presets and you want to change the time that you've set them for, the data falls off and you got to bring it back on. I've got it set now. But anyway, what I really just wanted to do is, because the showers have developed in the last hour, that's really all we have to look at. So there's the rain right now, again, right over 441, 301. So we've had some showers move through places like Bellevue and Lady Lake and the Villages and Wildwood and Leesburg, and they'll be tracking east. So if you live in places like Umatilla and Eustis and Tavares and Mount Dora, you look off towards your west, you're seeing darker skies, some rain on the way. But again, at this point in time, and I guess I also have to bring the lightning data back on, no lightning out of any of this. This will be tracking right down the turnpike in 27 here in our northwest areas through Sumter County, Center Hill and Webster. We've had some showers over Bushnell, right over towards the Ridge Manor area and Dade City. And again, this is all on the way. Now, in the second order, the East Coast sea breeze is pinned along the coast, but we're still going to get some showers to pop up there. And you can see some of that rain developing along the coastline. And again, you notice here on this visible satellite imagery, it's high res, fair amount of haze in the sky for you right now. Hey, Blue Goose, how you doing? Good afternoon. Yeah, it's sultry out there. 89 degrees already, 62% humidity for you. What do you say we take a look at those temperatures across the area for you guys as well? And here they go. So again, they'll loop up, and I'll just go ahead and pause it here right at the top of the hour. And these are our current temperatures. It's steamy out there, right? 90 in Orlando. Same thing in Kissimmee, 88 in Leesburg, even Inverness, which, the rain developed even a little bit east of Inverness as it moved across I-75, but, the dew point of 73. So when we factor that in, here's your heat indices right now. Not fantastic. Look, the Saharan air layer is a big factor right now, right? It's trapping in all that low-level moisture and humidity and making it pretty stifling outside. So again, these are current feels like temperatures. It is not fantastic in Brevard County right now. Titusville, the Cape, Port St. John, it feels like it's 103. That's a 90-degree temperature and a 77% humidity. I mean, anything above 70 in the dew point, that is very humid air. 79-degree dew point in Edgewater. These are rough conditions along the East Coast. Blue Goose has a 62% humidity right now. What's your dew point there, Blue Goose? See, St. Augustine, unfortunately, is not reporting, but Ormond Beach has a dew point of 79. Their relative humidity is 75%, so a little bit higher than what they're seeing there, what Blue Goose is seeing in St. Augustine. But again, these are feels like temperatures. West Coast is going to be our drier area again for today. Feels like temperatures will be a problem there. Look at inland Lake County. They're kind of towards the Plant City area, 103 towards Dover, and Brandon and Seffner in the eastern sides of Hillsborough County. Not fun. No doubt about it. Let's take a look at our cameras because I want to show you the Winter Garden camera because we can track some of this rain trying to move in. This is a live look to Winter Garden, western sides of Orange County. This camera is looking off towards the west. So if you look on the right-hand side of your screen, that's going to be kind of the far southern extent of some of the rain. But you can clearly see that the clouds are building at the hour. There's a little bit of vertical development in some of that clouds. Now, at this point in time, this is all detached. Nothing is really formed together and is, really going to be developing in the short term, but later in the afternoon hours along I-4 and especially out east, because the west coast sea breeze will march across the entire state, we'll have the opportunity for some showers and storms in the area. Can't rule out an isolated stronger storm for today as well. Live look outside to Conway. Now this is looking east, and again, you can see some of the cloud covers that we picked up on the visible satellite imagery along the east coast here. If you look at that, and again, this shot, because we have much more right at ground level, you can see some of that haze in the sky. It's not horribly concentrated, but it's out there. And that hazy sunshine is going to be a factor in limiting the rain chance a little bit as well. That's the Winter Garden camera one more time. Live look outside to the attractions. Again, this camera just 1 mile from the Magic Kingdom and the Disney property. We're looking back towards the Disney property from this shot. And again, a little bit of building cloud coverage, a little bit of haze in the sky for the most part, but overall we're looking pretty good out there for now. All right, back over to the weather computer. Let me break down what the rest of the day is going to look like, and then we'll talk about your weekend forecast. Got a couple of forecasts for the next 3 days coming up as well. Let me take out this shot. This is going to be bringing on the live radar out of Tampa. And again, live shot to some of that rain. Nothing crazy at this point in time at all. Just a little bit of shower activity for you there. Again, what's interesting is that there's actually some satellite data on there too. My system is being really interesting today. Everything's fine, but these presets are a little bit all over the place right now. So storm-wise today, I'm not expecting anything organized as far as strong and severe storms. Can't rule out an isolated severe storm or isolated stronger storm along I-95 later today, but the general risk from the Storm Prediction Center is just that. It is a general thunderstorm risk for the entire state. That's what you see in the light green. So we're not expecting any organized severe storms. Main threats are going to be some winds of 40 to 55 miles an hour for today. Some very small coin-sized hail, maybe even just pea size, but you get up to a dime here and there as a very isolated chance. It's not going to be widespread. If you have any interest in the southern plains through Arklatex and the Tennessee Valley, that is where all the active weather is going to be. Now that system is going to try and pull a little bit farther to the south over the weekend, and we'll highlight that coming up as well. But this is the live radar for you right now. Put this into motion for you, and again, you can see a nice cluster of storms coming out of Oklahoma into Arkansas and Mississippi. Storms are going to redevelop coming off of the Intermountain West, especially the eastern side of Colorado, coming off the high plains, and they're going to get another round of storms. And this whole line goes all the way up into the Northeast as well. Now, it's not a horrible day there. A little bit of, cloud coverage, temperatures aren't bad. You can see those thicker clouds right now back into portions of the Tennessee Valley and the Ohio Valley as well. And then again, back in our area, the rain in the Panhandle is still somewhat spotty, but you notice that the progression of everything today is all going to be from west to east. That's what I expect for us here. No excessive rainfall risk for today. That's the outlook. I'm showing you that right now. We've had no local storm reports lately as well. And again, we've had some storms from time to time the last couple of afternoons, but nothing has been very organized. Now, if you join me for Monday's live stream, one of the biggest things that we were talking about was the opportunity that this area right here could develop into something tropical. It never did, and as of yesterday, the Hurricane Center actually wiped away even that weak 10% chance. If you guys joined me live on Monday, you remember that the Hurricane Center put a 10% chance of either a tropical or subtropical low developing off of this. Now look, there's still some juice with this, right? But it's not going to have a lot of appreciable impacts to our weather. It's going to move up the eastern seaboard, probably staying just far enough off the coast to have minor impacts, you know, kicking up surf and sea conditions across places like the Outer Banks, and then driving some moisture back into, you know, Long Island and Cape Cod and places like that. But this is getting sheared a little bit as it moves off towards the east. But again, very interesting feature. You can kind of see there's a little bit of a low-level spin right here off of the Carolina, Virginia coastline. Just right about there, right? And if I put on the winds, you guys will see that as well. So again, you know, that's even where my model is defining where that low is, but you don't have to be a meteorologist to pick that out. Just look for the center of where the counterclockwise rotation is right now, and it's right along the eastern seaboard. Hi, Fiona, how you doing? Blue Goose, some small showers eastbound towards us. Sure feels like rain. Hey, Farrah, how you doing this afternoon? Good to see you. It feels like rain, but again, the Saharan dust layer is going to be a factor in limiting some of the rain chance today and over the weekend, right? Now, what we're going to get is relatively overcast or hazy sunshine out there, and you can see some of the clouds building in. It's not going to completely put a cap on showers and storms, but the coverage is not going to be as widespread if it otherwise wasn't there. Remember, the Saharan dust layer is a true layer of drier air. So as we try and lift all of this moisture at the surface into the layer where we're going to get the the production of showers and storms, that Saharan dust plays a factor in putting a stop on some of that convection and shower activity. Yeah, it is a factor, man. It's out there. I'm gonna have a drink from my Ling Long tumbler, by the way. My, again, Publix Diet Green Tea, fired up and ready to go. I've noticed that especially on a Friday, when I do this for about a half hour, and then I do the Media Mundo video for about 25 minutes, and then I do Weather Express, all three, and you know, there's a lot of days now I'll be doing all three at some point in time. Like, to start off, keeping the throat nice, and moisturized, if you will, and not letting it dry out is a good idea. If I sit here and talk without taking a drink for about a half hour or so, I struggle a little bit later in the day. I've noticed that. But it was the same situation when I was on television. Look, when I used to do, obviously the hurricane coverage was days on end, but tornado coverage sometimes would be 10, 12 hours a day, and that could be multiple days in a row, and that's when you really felt it. But trying to be on tap with that. All right, so again, storms will develop across I-75 as they are right now. No lightning with any of this as of yet, and then they're just going to work their way off towards the east. So let's track out how this is going to play out the remainder of today, and then get into the weekend forecast as well. Going to bring up the HRRR model, high resolution rapid refresh. It's the best model for the most part here in the early time frame, and we're just going to go out till tonight. And I kind of want to break down how this is going to play out, right? So again, here's the HRRR model for the remainder of your Friday. Storms are going to congregate along the East Coast later today. That's going to be our best chance, as the West Coast sea breeze has at least a diffuse interaction with the East Coast sea breeze later in the day. You notice the HRRR model is, maybe a little behind. At 2 o'clock, they have the showers still towards I-75. Potentially those showers should be a little bit farther east. We've already seen that little bit of line move in Lake County. But you get the idea that they're going to be very widely scattered and not organized, at least through the mid-afternoon hours. Now, as we head towards 4 o'clock, potentially a little bit higher concentration of storms really just beginning to develop. I mean, these are, I think, kind of that 4 o'clock hour, the first time I think, these storms could be a little bit more intense. Places like De Leon Springs, DeLand, Deltona, Sanford, Oviedo, Altamont Springs, Orlando, Ocoee, Winter Garden, and then working their way off towards the east. As we hit 5 o'clock and we start to see the interaction of the west and the east coast sea breeze, this is where the storms could get a little bit stronger, especially in portions of Volusia County. You see that there across 44 towards Samsula, DeLand, De Leon Springs, Edgewater, Port Orange, Daytona Beach, Ormond Beach, even up into Flagler County, spottier rain in Jacksonville and St. Augustine, and then building back down into Brevard County as well. Now, again, feels like temperatures already above 100 degrees in Brevard County. Maybe we won't mind the rain. But again, some of these storms could be on the stronger side. I think we'll start to see the storms push east of I-4 in that 6 o'clock hour. Still can't rule out a few isolated showers developing on the eastern side of Metro Orlando, back towards Kissimmee, portions of Polk County. We're mainly going to be dry along the west coast for today. The Nature Coast down to Hernando and Pasco and Pinellas counties, Manatee, Sarasota, Inland, Hillsborough. Not expecting a lot more, and probably no more for Marion and Sumter counties as well. Potentially redevelopment in Eastern Lake, but it really is going to be with this west coast sea breeze marching across the state, what's going to be happening along the east coast for today. And again, most intense time frame, probably that 6 to 7 o'clock hour before sunset, and then the storms, whatever is out there, should wind back down. You see a pocket of rain back north as well. You can see some of that activity maybe towards I-10, trying to swing back down the coastline a little bit later. So I'll show this broader perspective, loop this up for you one more time. But the bottom line is, you live closer to I-95 for today, you're going to have a much better chance for some showers and storms compared to our western areas. Again, nothing organized severe, but I can't rule out a few storms that get to that 40 to 55 mile an hour wind gust profile, and maybe even some smaller sized hail. But the heavy rain and the lightning, of course, will tend to be the bigger stories out there for the most part for the remainder of today. So let's pick up the HRRR model for tomorrow. So I'm going to pause this puppy here real quick, and we'll look at the forecast for tomorrow. So let's switch this up. We'll start 7 a.m. tomorrow, and then pick it all the way up into Sunday morning. Still going to have our general easterly flow. That's not going to change. So generally speaking, you'll be looking off towards your west for the showers and storms to develop along the immediate east coast. Still the opportunity for some scattered rain to develop there. Western areas will remain drier compared to eastern zones. But again, your Saharan air layer, the dust in the atmosphere, is going to be a limiting factor in some of the activity over the weekend. So it's more spotty rain than anything else. Again, this is the HRRR model for your Saturday into early on Sunday morning. It's fast moving showers. Again, Volusia, Brevard counties in the afternoon hours, probably your best chance for Saturday as well. So Titusville and Port St. John and Melbourne and the O'Galley area, on over towards Satellite Beach, Grant, Valcaria, Mico, Barefoot Bay. Those places will have the best chance, but even then, 30 to 40 at best. Tampa, St. Pete, Homosassa Springs, Ocala, the Villages, more than likely dry for your Saturday. Sunday is not going to be much wetter as well. Not expecting much more than that. We'll look at Sunday's forecast for you guys. And again, you have a specific question about the forecast, you got outdoor plans, feel free to drop it in the comments section below. Happy to answer those. So we'll pick up on the NAM model here, the forecast for Sunday. Again, same scenario, by the way, still staying with our easterly wind. Now, I mentioned that our storm system will punch a little bit farther south into the southeast on Sunday, but they're still not going to get into our area. Right? This is more localized storms with the sea breeze. We are in the wet season. We would expect some sea breeze interaction, but this is the NAM model for Sunday, and you just don't see much. I would expect there to potentially be a little bit more again across I-95 for Sunday afternoon, but still many drier hours and locations. I think our best next chance for some rain back into the forecast is going to be on Monday. So the risk of severe storms for tomorrow, again, sags a little bit farther south, but not into our area. Still a generalized risk of storms. I'm not really sure, again, why the SPC has the development right along the west coast. Generally speaking, in our area, I think we're going to be dry, but this is a huge slight risk that could be upgraded in any of this area to an enhanced, which would be 3 out of 5. So your slight and yellow is a 2 out of 5 on the SPC scale for severe weather. We could get an enhanced area somewhere within this yellow for tomorrow. The marginal risk does drop down into the Jacksonville area. And then the risk for Sunday kind of stays that far north. The marginal goes no farther south, but your slight risk now pulls towards I-95 from South Virginia all the way into Georgia, and then an enhanced area is already out for portions of Texas. So again, just north of us, very active weather the next several days, but with the Saharan dust in play, we're going to stay a little bit drier than what we otherwise would. And at this point in time, I'm not expecting any organized severe storms. So here's the forecast for Orlando. Again, your typical chance for storms as we get into the wet season here in June is going to be 40%. That's kind of your broad brush base. So I've got 30% in Orlando the next couple of days. It could even be just 20, but it will be below average compared to what we would typically see for a summer afternoon. And again, meteorological summer has already kicked off here starting on June 1st. Hey, Farrah, how you doing? Thanks for reminding everyone to please do that. Yeah, take a quick second. If you're getting anything out of this, it's really quick to just hit that like button. It's real quick to hit that subscribe button as well. Appreciate both of those things. If you guys could do that, I appreciate you very much for doing so. Again, isolated storms over the weekend, hazy sunshine, hot. You might want to find the pool, somewhere to cool off. If we're going to be out in the afternoon hours, certainly find the shade. Again, the humidity is going to be up. So feels like temperatures, just like we already have on this Friday, are going to be at or above 100 in some spots. And then I do expect weather to return on Monday. We're up to a 60% chance for scattered storms there, and a daytime high on Monday in Orlando of 95 degrees. Obviously, I'll have much more on Monday's forecast coming up on CFLW, the show. When I see you Monday at 1 o'clock, same time. In Daytona Beach, again, a little bit better chance overall along the East Coast. So from St. Augustine to Palm Coast and Daytona Beach, Titusville, Palm Bay, Indian River County, about a 40% chance for storms over the weekend. Still hazy, and it's hotter. Again, despite the fact that, we're going to get a better chance for storms, I do expect the East Coast to get into the lower 90s for a daytime high. In many locations, there could be some beach areas that stay in the 80s. But again, the feels like temperatures are going to be cranked up, with the Saharan dust trapping in all the low-level moisture. So the humidity values are just really out of control right now. 91 on Monday, 50% chance for storms then. Slightly better. Again, I put in a little 20% chance for a quick passing shower or an isolated storm in Tampa over the weekend, but I don't expect much rain there in most of Pinellas, Hillsborough, and the greater Tampa areas, including Bradenton and Sarasota. So hazy sunshine, hot, humid conditions, feels like temperatures that'll make a run at 100 both afternoons. For actual air temperatures, it's 92 both days. We're up to 93 on Monday, and we're back to a 40% chance, a normal chance for showers and storms on Monday. And again, maybe we cool things off a little bit with some of that rain that'll be coming back in to the late afternoon hours for us here, but probably getting a little bit better chance for rain then. Back to Winter Garden. Again, this would be the area we're watching for some of the storms developing. You look in the right-hand side of your screen. That's kind of the southern extent of the showers that are out there for you right now. Just not a lot that has, really gotten going as of yet, but that opportunity will grow a little bit as we get into the afternoon hours, right? Especially along the East Coast. So we'll go back to our radar here, and I will pop my beautiful face back on the screen. And we'll take a look at, again, the live radar here out of Tampa. We can switch over to Melbourne as well, but the storms were a little bit closer to Tampa, so I did that. Now, again, I say storms, but at this point in time, there is no lightning out of any of this. You see the live lightning count here. But if you live across the 19 area here towards Umatilla and Eustis, down towards Mount Dora and Tavares and Yahala and Astatula, down the turnpike, going to hit 27 towards Montverde. So again, our camera is somewhere right here. We're looking west. Most of the closer activity is just a little bit north. But again, this line is beginning to slowly form. And this will be what will more than likely hit the I-4 corridor here in Metro Orlando in the next couple of hours, where along the East Coast, you're going to get isolated development for the rest of the afternoon hours right along I-95. But once this activity gets closer to I-95 and you get the interaction and the clashing of the sea breezes, that's when we're going to have the heftiest storms. It's actually a very easy thing to describe for today. You can clearly see it's like a football coach drawing up a diagram. You know, there's the offense, there's the defense. They're going to come together close to I-95, and that's when we're going to have the opportunity for the strongest storms. Blue Goose just got a lightning alert. All right. Yeah, you got a little storm up there, Blue Goose. I got you, brother. Right there. You got your one lightning strike even away from this developing shower. But there you go. Absolutely. And see if I do something here real quick. But this thing is not happy today. Fortunately, it's not really wanting me to switch radar sites here. The good news is I know what each one is called. So hopefully that will do it. Yeah, there you go. Here's your Jacksonville radar. Just want to look a little bit closer at it. Moving east at around 23. One baby lightning strike. Could be a few more showers towards Green Cove Springs behind it as well. And you can see all the movement is off towards the east. So there's a Jacksonville radar. I can switch it a couple different ways. Typically speaking, I can do it on the map, but it is not happy today. Here's the Melbourne radar. So we'll see some of the showers here in Brevard County or just offshore. It's still really light in nature, but there's that line. And you can see now that we're looking at the development here, it's beginning to form up a little bit more. Still no lightning out of this, but again, we're going to get wet in the Metro Orlando area in the next 2 hours or so. In areas west, especially through Lake County, we'll see it, and we'll see how far south it builds. Now again, you know, do we get it? Do we get it all the way back into Tampa? Probably not. You know, Dade City right now might be the line. This could skirt portions of northern Polk County, but I think it's really Sumter and Lake, and then Orange and Seminole and Volusia counties and Brevard off towards the east, no doubt about it. I don't know, Bauer Power Storms. I will, believe it or not, I don't really control the mods. We've got a couple of other guys behind the scenes who do, but if you're interested, I will let them know. I appreciate that. Use the YouTube St. Augustine live cameras to monitor local weather. Yeah. Moderate rain in 15 minutes. Yeah, it's close. I don't disagree with that. You know, it's a brief shower up there, but there's a couple more showers behind it. You're going to get wet today. You know, even if that shower misses you or dissipates, I think you'll get wet. But that's the rain that's going to be coming in. Again, still no lightning out of any of this as well. Okay. You got it. Anyone have any specific questions about the forecast while we're sitting here just chatting, hanging out? Again, Saharan dust layer is a factor. At this point in time, if I take you out broad view, right? And of course, now we're in hurricane season. I'm always monitoring the tropics for you guys. I obviously do that over on the Media Mundo channel for the Caribbean and the Bahamas forecast. We have over, I believe, over 51,000 subscribers right now. So if you haven't jumped over that channel and you want to kind of figure out what's happening here, but I'll always keep you up to date. That could be developing close to home. There's nothing right now. We're good to go. The Saharan dust layer is limiting things at this point in time. There's going to be a lot of this moisture coming off the monsoon trough here in Central America that will be lifting north. The GFS model continues to be probably overly aggressive at trying to develop something maybe late next week, but it's always backing its time frame up. There's a inherent bias that we know about in the GFS model for the Western Caribbean this time of the year, very early in the hurricane season, where it takes localized convection and it makes it a much larger, wider storm, bigger storm than it typically is. So I'll be monitoring that. But believe it or not, there are two areas here that have quickly developed again in the Eastern Pacific that are cherries. They're reds. They're high opportunities for development. They've already had Alvin, their first named storm. They could get the B and the C named storms before we get one. Now, their hurricane season officially starts earlier on May the 15th, but the East Pacific is active. And once we take some of this energy for the monsoon trough and lift it north into the Southwest Caribbean and eventually into the Western Caribbean overall, we're going to start to get more active too. That'll be the first area I'll be watching. And we've talked about it on Monday's stream. If you haven't watched Monday's live stream, CFLW the show on Monday, go back. I did a whole section on my outlook for the 2025 Atlantic hurricane season. But if you guys remember, the June formation areas are typically Western Caribbean, Gulf of Mexico, and just off of our East Coast. Appreciate it, Blue Goose. Yep, no doubt about it. And again, you know, we spend money in the technology around here as well. So this is, you know, we've got the full disc visible satellite imagery. I love this. If you guys want to jump over to Media Mundo, we just partnered with a company to bring live cameras from the Caribbean. And I've mentioned to you guys as well that our goal here on CFLW is to bring you more live cameras. We've got, you know, 3 that are proprietary to us, but we're looking to expand that network and partner with other entities. And so we're looking to do that for you guys as well. It costs money, and I appreciate those who have found ways to support the channel. So thank you guys for doing that. You know, it's a slow buildup, but we're doing that, and we appreciate the Lean Law Firm being the sponsor of the channel as well. It's all about bringing you guys the best coverage that we possibly can. All right, back over here. Again, I'll bring on the current temperatures. One more look at this before we get out the door. Just look how these temperatures, air temperature-wise, have swung already into the 90-degree mark in a lot of spots. Leesburg is rain-cooled at 79. But again, I think the bigger story, we know it gets hot this time of the year. It's not the winds, Rusty. It's the heat index. Look at these feels-like temperatures at the hour. Now, the interesting thing is it was 103 in Titusville. It's actually come back down to 98. And that's because they do have a shower in the area. Back down towards Cape Canaveral and Port St. John, it's 103. Yikes. 96 in Sanford, same thing in Orlando. Again, Western Lake County, 103. The Brandon area, Seffner there, Mango, Temple Terrace, 100 as it feels like temperature. Zephyr Hills, 98. No one outside of getting some of the rain early in the day, it's going to feel bad. And look, you get the showers through here, and you know what happens behind that, right? You stay with the clouds, and it gets pretty darn muggy out there as well. Bauer Powers, I don't normally cover Iowa here because this is a Central Florida channel, but I'm happy to look very quickly. You guys are north of where all the active storms are. Should be a pretty lovely day there. Temperature right now in Des Moines is in at 75. Looking pretty good, I would say here. Quick look at the HER model for you real fast as well. The good news is that when these presets actually work, as you guys know, I can thumb through things in a hurry. I expect the bulk of this to push south of you. So I would expect a pretty comfortable day in Iowa, to be quite honest. But again, yeah, so just so you know, this is Central Florida Weather Live. We generally just cover Central Florida. Now look, if there's weather that can impact us that is somewhere else in the country, you guys know I cover that, right? So, you know, if we need a broad brush and take a look at this model, a little bit expanded view, we'll do that to talk about what's on tap for us coming up. If you would like a United States forecast, if you go to the homepage here of Central Florida Weather, or I think even in the description of the video, you will find my United States forecast page. It's called Weather Express. I do a 5-minute daily forecast across the country. Bauer Powers, live in Ames. Awesome. Ames, Iowa in the house. Appreciate you. All right, friends, anyone else have any specific questions about the forecast? If not, I think we're going to wrap up the live stream for right now. And again, you know, Monday and Friday, I'm live. This is a live-only channel. But I like to cover the storms with you guys and what's going to be happening in our area. Monday's show covers what's happening across the week. Friday will cover Friday and the weekend and into early next week as well. And of course, I'm live anytime that there is impactful weather across Central Florida. You guys know I got you covered in all different ways. Appreciate those who tune in during this live stream. Love the interaction with you guys. Appreciate those who watch on the recorded version. Again, when I get done with this becomes an archived video under the live tab of the CFLW YouTube channel. You can watch it at your leisure. You have a specific question, even if you're watching the recorded version, feel free to drop it in the comments. I go back and I'm happy to answer those guys for you as well. Once again, CFLW, the show, sponsored by the leading law firm of Central Florida, your hometown homeowners insurance attorneys. Friends, we are in storm season. Got to watch out for things like strong winds, hail, and of course, tropical storms and hurricanes. And if you do sustain damage, or if you've even been in an auto accident, they can walk you through every step of the insurance claim process. You want to support someone who supports the channel. You want more information, go to leanonmelaw.com. Friends, I appreciate you guys. Have a great weekend again. The dust is a factor. It is going to be steamy. We'll see a few storms out there, but many dry hours and locations. Storm chances back on the rise starting Monday. So I'll see you then for the next edition of CFLW The Show at 1 o'clock on Monday. Until then, friends, take care. Have a great weekend. I'll see you then.